DDG episode 136. My name is Dave Hunt, and I'm joined by Michael Swick.
How's it going, Dave? How's it going? We're recording Monday. Monday might be our new recording day, if things hold up the way they are. We'll see how this goes.
It's I think it's the most guaranteed day that you and I are home at night. with our new jobs, both of our new jobs.
Yeah.
I don't have a new job. Michael has a newer job. Mine is like 3 months old. So.
Yes. So we're getting used to that. So our playing and watching this week's going to be a little low, but we at least have some news to talk about.
Yeah. All right. So we are obviously Digital Days Gaming. We're a weekly podcast that posts every Thursday morning on podcast services essentially of your choosing. If for some reason there's a service you like to use and we're not on there, let us know. And Michael's really good at that. He'll figure it out if we can get on there. But if your service allows you to leave a review, please do so. It's been a little while since any review for us has been left. So anything you can do to help with that, just to get some more eyes on the show, is super, super helpful. You can also just share the show, whether it's through retweeting or sharing on Facebook. And you can also watch us live, twitch.tv/digitaldaysgaming, where we are a Twitch affiliate. So you are able to support us with subscriptions if you choose. And if you have Amazon Prime, you can combine that with your Twitch account, and you get something called Prime Gaming, where they give out a bunch of free games, free content for console games even. And you should always download stuff that you get for free, no matter what. Should. Because you never know when you might get a PC, or there might be something that's created that, hell, at this point in time, like, you might be able to plug a HDMI port into your TV that's got Steam on it, like in the next 2 years with the way everything's going. So just that goes for everything. PS Plus, Game Pass, Xbox Gold, Epic. I barely ever use the Epic launcher other than to open it to download whatever free games I'm getting or add them to my library.
But then you never download them. You just have them in your library.
Yeah. So and one day when you have a PC or a laptop, or you can sign into your buddy's laptop or something like that and play the game. I don't know.
Yeah. And you know what? You might have Prime Gaming and not realize it because, you never mess with that side of your Prime subscription. But like, if you can take some dollars from Jeff Bezos, take some dollars from Jeff Bezos and send him our way, okay? Because he's just going to keep all that money. So just
he has enough of it.
Take some of that. Yeah, he has enough. So just grab some Jeff Bezos money, throw it at your favorite streamer. Hopefully that's us. But if it's not, I'm unhappy, but it's okay. So,
as always, please consider reviewing, sharing, and subbing if possible. That goes for any of the links that you're able to do, whether it's YouTube or Twitter, Facebook group, Discord, just anything that, whatever avenue you use to socialize with people, please try to see if we're there and do that, even though social media has been a nightmare this last week. But it's
not been happy.
So all right, we're gonna jump into some news really quick, and like Michael mentioned, our playing and watching both will be very brief. I watched more than I played, but we're gonna hit a couple of the post summer gaming news. I guess we're at that point now.
Yeah, in between the summer gaming news, because we still have Gamescom coming up. So the first bit of news is Skull and Bones has been rated by the ESRB. This is the third ratings board that Skull and Bones has been rated at. It looks like it's going to get an M rating across the board. Brazil and South Korea rated the game, I want to say last month and maybe the month prior. So no timeline exactly on when the game will come out, but it hitting the ESRB almost guarantees it will be very soon.
6 months max, I would say, right?
6 months, yeah. And there's a little bit more stuff coming. So a reputable, I guess, leaker, reporter, I don't know exactly how you'd say this, but I believe it was like Tom Henderson said that he expects July 4th week to be when they will re-reveal Skull and Bones. So we might get a little bit more info on Skull and Bones potentially next week.
The most interesting bullet point that you have in here is that it's an M rating. What I played years ago, 2018, 2019 at this point in time, was at that point only ship-to-ship combat. And there wasn't really much that I recall seeing that warranted an M rating. And I also kind of feel like this eliminates, I could be wrong, but I kind of feel like this eliminates the free-to-play world a little bit.
So they did say that there are in-game purchases and DLC packs for microtransactions, so that element still could be in there.
I think the element is still there. I just think the free-to-play might be out the window with an M rating. Is there another M-rated free-to-play game? M-rated.
Oh, I'm sure there is. We would have to look at free-to-play games just to make sure.
Oh, I guess your Tower Floor game. What was that? Grim Reaper. You know what I'm talking about, right? That you moved up floors.
Yeah.
That was probably pretty gruesome.
New sequel, so. Yeah. Like the Deathverse game or whatever.
Yeah. I just think that if you're going towards a large appeal audience, which you would try to do with any free-to-play game, I think fragmenting it under M is not a good idea, in my opinion.
Yeah, but they're also competing with like Sea of Thieves, which is very much a T-rated game. Mm-hmm. So they might be going a different direction. The rating says it's for blood, strong language, suggestive themes, and drugs and violence. It is a pirate game, so I would imagine there is going to be some cursing going on and some other things happening as well. So it looks like we will be getting this kind of soon. I'm hoping we do hear about this during, like, what is that, next week? That would be great to see some of this. And then
at this point in time, I'd be happy to see hear anything from Ubisoft.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. Like, at this point, it's been since like 2017.
Well, I'm not even talking about Skull and Bones. I'm just talking about Ubisoft. I mean, other than Roller Derby, like Roller Champions.
Yeah, Roller Champions. Yeah. And then what was the other game that they just kind of released? And we're like, here, was it Roller Champions? The one that
the Roller Champions just came out like within the last month.
Yeah.
And then the other
Riders Republic.
Yeah,
was that this year? Or that was last year?
That was this year. Riders Republic was this year, so it feels like it's February. But it's been pretty quiet. We are hearing some Assassin's Creed rumblings for end of August, early September. Which is a quick turnaround if this Assassin's Creed's coming out in November. But if they are trying to,
it's not. They said it was an expansion year.
Okay, I couldn't remember. So, but this is supposed to be like their first games as a service.
Yeah, and there's been reports that they like already pulled back on that idea, so we have no idea what we're getting.
It's very curious of what this new Ubisoft is supposed to be, and we haven't really heard anything from it. Because I don't think Roller Champions is the new Ubisoft that they're going for, the narrative-driven games as a service thing, and they're seeing some other stuff. Brand, I don't think in our chat, I don't think For Honor was ever free to play. That game has been given out for free on almost every platform.
It became free to play.
It did? Okay.
It did become free to play, but it took like 2 years before it became free to play.
I saw that a long time ago.
I would say, Extraction totally came out not too long ago. Was that this year too? Is Extraction this year?
Extinction, Rainbow Six Extinction. That's not free to play either, though.
No, in terms of like Ubisoft games.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like this first half for Ubisoft has just been like, all right, let's just clear out whatever's been in development for however long, so that they can transition into the new Ubisoft and not have like mixed messages being like, well, this game is like this and this game's like that. Like going forward after Skull and Bones is cleared out, I'm assuming Ubisoft's going to be pretty much like, here's our Far Cry games, here's our Assassin's Creed games, and they're both kind of the same in terms of like the delivery mechanism. So
I would love to see another branch of Immortals. I think that would be really, really good. I don't know if we ever really heard how well that game did or didn't do. I loved the art style and the storytelling that they were trying to accomplish in there. And just I was a little disappointed with their DLC expansions for that. I'm kind of burned out on their I can't think of it, like not the Rainbow Six stuff, but the other Tom Clancy not even the Division stuff either. What's the
Siege?
Other? No, the other one. I can't remember. The other four players.
Yeah.
Wildlands. Yeah. Ghost Recon. Sorry, Ghost Recon. Yeah. There we go. Took my head a second there. I'm kind of fatigued on that stuff, so I'm really curious.
I think the fan base is fatigued on that one because like even people that liked Wildlands, I think you like enjoyed Wildlands, but like compared to the previous ones, it was like
Yeah,
like
I never even finished 6, Far Cry 6, and it's supposed to be
Far
really,
Cry
really
is
good.
also another franchise. Yeah.
So, but I hope that they have some cool, new, interesting stuff up their sleeves. Like I said, I really enjoyed Immortals. I'm kind of a little fatigued on Recon and Ghost Recon and The Division. I'm hoping their Division free-to-play has some type of new aspect to it. But at this point in time, I'd like to hear them do something. I think they have a nice opportunity to hit in this holiday window. If they can find one or two things that can stick, they have a great opportunity because it's pretty light.
Yeah, we did get confirmation from Ubisoft that they will be at Gamescom, so at the end of August, so that would be perfect time for their Assassin's Creed stuff. And Heartland is due this year, right? Like, that was
allegedly.
like the target year?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, that would, I think, be the last game that they can get away with shadow dropping, because I have a feeling Skull and Bones is just going to be like, it's available today if it is free to play, but if it is a big box release, which I don't think they would risk, I would imagine Heartland is going to be the next one that's like, it's available now, and then they run with it. Because I don't think they can go early access after their last like free-to-play early access game dropped, Farscape or
Hyperscape.
God, what was it? Hyperscape. Yeah. Jesus Christ, we're bad with Ubisoft games today. Yeah. But like, I don't think they can get away. Like, I think Division Heartland is going to have to be something that like day one feels complete.
Yeah, I think if this is a true reintroduction of Skull and Bones, if we're led to believe, I think this would be something that would be like their November release. If this is a true reintroduction,
or if it's like going to be a free to play game, it's like, and the game's available next week,
right?
Sort of thing.
If it's not free to play, then they reintroduce it and they build the pre-order hype with their multiple editions, and they go back to Ubisoft 2 years ago. Which would like it, don't like it, hate it, don't hate it, you love it, don't love it, like whatever, it worked for them. Like it sold, it
worked
moved
for
units.
them 4 years ago.
I know,
but now
I'm not saying it would or wouldn't work right now, but whatever they're trying to do ain't working because it's just a void. Like there's a void of nothing right now.
Ubisoft feels like a company that tried to get themselves sold a couple months ago and it didn't happen, and now they're like, shit, we have to release these games, and that is currently what they're doing right now. Is just like, okay,
yeah, because
let's get some games out.
There's rumblings about the Mario Rabbids game being October as well.
Yeah, the Nintendo Store did leak the release date for that, so that is coming out this year. And was it November the release date? That
October 20th, I thought I saw, but I could be wrong. So. Yeah. But speaking of other Nintendo games,
so. Metroid Prime, I misspelled that word. Metroid Prime Remake is possibly coming this holiday. So according to Jeff Grubb, Metroid 1's long-awaited remaster is set to hit the 20th anniversary of the game in November. According to Grubb, the whole Prime trilogy is set to be re-released, but only the first game is getting like a big remaster, which is the most Nintendo thing I can think of just like, we're going to, instead of remastering the whole trilogy in one package, we're going to release the first one remastered, and then the other two, we're just going to re-release those, and they'll probably come through on the Nintendo Online service or something. But the rumors have been going on for, I want to say, like 2 years now, that like Metroid Prime Remaster has been done for a long time, but Nintendo has just been sitting on it because they just didn't know the perfect time to release it. And Nintendo just kind of functions that way, where they always have some games completed and ready to go because they like to stay ahead of things. You know, it's not like we see with other publishers and developers who like,
they're definitely more proactive than reactive. Like,
yes.
So if they, do I believe that they've had this sitting and they're waiting for the right opportunity, or they're waiting for a Metroid Dread to kind of like for them to think that, okay, like, are we losing a little bit of steam with Dread, which I think they have, but I think it did initially better than they thought it would. So they're like, okay, now this is ready, and then we can follow it up with this. We obviously know that Nintendo goes to the beat of their own drum. They do not care what anybody else thinks, says, or does. They do what they do. I don't. I would probably check this out personally. I don't have any recollection of the Prime series. My Metroid time frame is more on the 2D stuff from like the Super Nintendo days, because like I've said before, either in the PS Nation days or currently with the DDG days, is that for a little while there, essentially kind of before Destiny and Battlefield 4, FPS used to make me motion sick. so I didn't play them. Like I couldn't.
Yeah.
I tried. And so if I would be interested in Prime. I also have this is the first time I have an MJC problem. I have Metroid Dread sealed in a Switch case somewhere in this house, and I don't know where it is. Like,
yeah, well, I keep track of mine.
I want to play it, and I don't know where it is. I know I bought it. I checked my email and saw my receipt for buying it like in October when it came out. I can't find it.
You should probably find that and add it to your games to beat this year.
Yeah,
especially it's got easy mode now, I believe. So.
Yeah, no, it's a great game to stream if I can get my Switch streaming. Like, but I don't know where it is.
I mean, this makes sense for Nintendo just to have something sitting there waiting. Just because, I don't know, I know it happens, but like compared to like PlayStation and Xbox, you don't really hear Nintendo bragging 2 weeks before a game comes out that the game's gone gold.
Right.
You know, like their stuff is usually done way in advance, and then they just sit on it until they think is the right time. Do they always get the right timeline? No, but like they at least tend to release games that don't require a bunch of patches day one, and you don't really hear about them like going gold, or at least they never really bragged about that. Totally could be the case that they go gold 2 weeks before release, but they just don't brag about it. So the idea that they've been sitting on Prime and we're like, what's a good time to release this? Do we release it before Dread and then undercut Dread's potential? Because then people are going to be like, why do I want the 2D one when I can get the shooter one from my childhood?
Definitely.
And now, you know, they reintroduced Metroid to people. Dread sold, I think last time we checked, like 3 million copies, to where they're like, okay, now let's put Prime out that has like a legacy attached to it and see what happens. The only thing I don't like is the fact that like 2 and 3 are going to be probably just basic ports of, I think 2 came out on the GameCube and 3 was a Wii game, if I remember correctly.
Which is interesting to me if they think that they can just take a Wii game and put it on a Switch. Like, we've already seen that be a problem.
Yeah, it's been kind of mixed. So, like,
Zelda Skyward Sword needed a rework, and it still was kind of funky.
Yeah, but, like, if you look at, they just released The Force Unleashed on the Switch. Not Nintendo themselves, but someone did. So, like, you can just port Wii games over relatively easy with no work on them. You just have to hope the art style holds up, which I don't think the Force Unleashed art style holds up in current times. But in other times, No More Heroes was pretty much a straight port. You know, they got rid of the waggle, and that was actually pretty successful, and that art style held up. So it's just a matter of how confident they are in that. I'm really hoping that like they do put out like just a remastered trilogy, but it doesn't sound like that's going to be the case.
Right.
And knowing Nintendo, they'll put out remastered 1, promise remastered 2 and 3, and then we'll wait to those games' 20th anniversaries to release them or something crazy. So we'll see what happens there. All right, next bit of news. From Software's next game is apparently already in the final stages of development. So according to From Software director Miyazaki, the studio's next game is already in the final stages of development. The current rumors say it's an Armored Core game. So we'll get some like mech Dark Souls action, Demon Souls action there. And then in addition to that, Miyazaki did say they are still working on updates for Elden Ring. Did not elaborate on whether that meant like expansions or if it just meant patches and updates. Elden Ring, through patches, have added NPC and like extra dialogue stuff. So there's a chance they could add more and just free updates. But they also, I think a lot of people would hope they have an expansion, but I don't think it's required for Elden Ring.
And I think that the way that my understanding of the way the story is told or not told in Elden Ring, I think an expansion would be kind of hard.
I mean, it's doable. I mean, they also like...
It almost had to be kind of like standalone, though, right? Like the story really couldn't connect. Like the universe could connect, but the story couldn't connect because the player might not have left, as an example, you know? I haven't played, so I don't...
No. It's open, but the story's pretty set. Like, if you want to hit credits, you have to do certain things to hit credits. So they definitely could work that in there. How it will fit in the world map, that's the thing. Like, if you were to do an expansion, will you just have to have a separate screen at the jump, or do you integrate that into the map? So then if I
think we've seen companies do it. Horizon did it, where all of a sudden there was just this new area. You climbed over a hill, and or you climbed over a mountain. There was just this new area. But
like, in terms of like how they do that for like new players, like, is it going to have to be like, here's just an expansion you go to, here's an island you go to, right. Or like, will you have to beat the game, and how many people are really beating Elder
right
Elden
I don't know how to
is the question.
Another one I didn't play is, how did Ghost of Tsushima handle adding that island? Like, did you get like, I think the island's
just there, you could just go to it. So it wasn't like that big a deal. I just wonder in terms of I would have to look at the trophy data. Like, the community was doing better than I thought in terms of getting further, but I wonder how much the drop off is when you get towards like the final bosses.
And I think it's super interesting. So before Elden Ring, the last From Software one was Sekiro, right?
Yes. They had that VR game. As well. They had a smaller VR game. So
it's the time frame of whatever this game is super interesting. If we're talking about a possibility of a 12 to 15 month window of, like, if this game comes out between February and June of 2023, you're looking at a 12 to 18 month window from the release of Elden Ring to the release of this. I'm not saying that these are coming out, but if it's in the final stages of development, like, I don't think that that's another year of development. Agree?
No, I would probably say 6 months of testing and polishing, and then game out.
Yeah, so like, this is something. Branham is saying that the Platinum Trophy is one of the highest in percentages.
Okay, so they could just do whatever they want in terms of expansions.
But yeah, I mean, this could be something, I guess, especially with Keely's relationship with From Software, that this could be a great video game award reveal.
Yeah, or so they released, I'm going to mispronounce it, Duracine, which was a VR game in 2018, November 2018, and then Sekiro was March 2019, and then Elden Ring February 2022. So,
do they own the Sekiro license, or does Activision own that?
Good question. I know that was a partnership, so I would imagine it's like joint ownership. So, because I remember Activision saying like, this game wouldn't exist if we didn't put the money into it.
Right.
So I would imagine.
Like, I think it's something that won a video game award, Game of the Year, would warrant possibly wanting to visit the world again.
Yeah, but I wonder if they would have to work with Activision, and if Activision, in their current state, are like, oh, that was cute that we did that, but like, it didn't make us the money we wanted.
Or Phil Spencer's just licking his chops. Close the deal.
Yeah. I honestly think so. The rumors that like Armored Core would be the next thing, it's been exactly, I'm looking at the it's been 10 or 11 years since the last Armored Core game came out. So I would imagine we're hitting that 10-year anniversary, probably a perfect time to revisit it. And Armored Core doesn't need to be a big gigantic game. Mech games rarely are gigantic games, so I can see them kind of partnering either with PlayStation VR, since they already have the experience for VR, for like, hey, PSVR 2, we want to do Armored Core, like a mech game. We saw it with Riggs like was cool when you were inside a mech suit. The game didn't survive, unfortunately, but like, it was a cool feeling to be in that mech. So I would put money on like Armored Core in PSVR 2, because that gives them a smaller game to mess with in order to hit like releasing a game a year after Elden Ring.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The interview did state that like, they have multiple directors and they have multiple teams that are always working on stuff. So hopefully that means we do get something relatively soon. And I would imagine, like, if you're Bandai Namco, who helped publish Elden Ring, Elden Ring sold 13 million copies in like a month or two. I would imagine you throw whatever fucking money you have to and be like, we need Elden Ring 2.
Yeah, From Software is moving up the ranks of elite studio quickly. I mean, you're talking about Bloodborne, Sekiro, and Elden Ring, along with their VR sprinklings. Like, yeah,
and then Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Armored Core, like they have.
I'm just talking about the last 3 things they released were all either have been or will be Game of the Year contenders, like top 3 contenders. Bloodborne was up there. I don't know where it finished when it came out. Sekiro won some, and Elden Ring is going to win some.
Yeah.
Elden Ring will walk away with multiple awards from the Video Game Awards in December. Multiple.
Yes. Oh, for sure.
I mean, it might not walk away with it might not walk away with the Game of the Year, but it will finish in the top 3 for votes. It will finish in the top 3 for votes. And Sekiro won, and I believe Bloodborne was in the top 5.
I would put money that Elden Ring will walk away with the Game Award for Game of the Year. Like, based on the only reason I can't
say that is without knowing if God of War is or isn't coming. That's like.
I think Elden Ring would beat God of War regardless of how big God of War is, just because
I have a hard time with that if this is the true wrap up to this story. Like what we thought was going to be a trilogy is now only going to be a trilogy.
I don't know. I could totally see them just being like.
I agree. I agree, but yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like it's regardless. It is. Whether it wins Game of the Year or not, it will be in the must-play games of 2022.
Yeah. It will be the game that actually defies the odds of, like, usually games in February aren't even remembered by the time the Game of the Year is decided. Yeah. And Elden Ring, based on this year's releases, it's not going to be forgotten at all. All right. Persona 3, 4, and 5 are coming to PC and PlayStation. So this was like the big reveal at not the big reveal, but it was a surprising reveal at the Xbox.
So confused about this.
Yes. Okay. So Persona 5 is getting a PS5 port, and that is coming to PC as well. Persona 3 and 4 Golden are coming to PS4. So those aren't getting native PS5 ports. You're going to have to use backwards compatibility for that. And then Persona 3 and 5 will be joining Golden on PC. Do you follow, Dave?
No. So which ones of these were PSP or Vita games?
Persona 3 was a PSP game.
Okay.
And then Persona 4 Golden was a Vita game.
Okay. What platforms has Persona 5 been on?
PlayStation 4.
Okay, so it's getting an upgrade.
Yes, it's getting an upgrade, and obviously they're coming to Game Pass day one.
All of these are coming to Game Pass?
Yes. Okay. Yes, I believe so.
Because didn't a Persona game just get removed from PlayStation, or even from the PS Plus collection or something?
Yes, Persona 5 Royale, which is like the Game of the Year edition of Persona 5, that was removed from the Instant Game collection.
Correct, okay.
Not too long ago. And I guess it's because the PS5 port's coming, so I don't know if that means there will be a free upgrade along the path, and then, Atlas was like, we got to remove from the Instant Game collection, or all these people are going to get free upgrades to the PS5 version. I don't know what happened exactly there.
Well, the reason why this is big enough news is, though, because there was concern or questions surrounding when they essentially showed up on Xbox's stage and said, hey, we're with Xbox. Like, we're coming to Xbox now. And people are like, well, did you lose your PlayStation contract? Like, what's going on?
Like, how much money did they throw at you? Because
But now apparently they're like, why not both? Or all three?
Yeah. The only question that remains now is, does Xbox have like some sort of launch exclusive on it because it was on their stage? Because Xbox's wording almost made it seem like it was exclusive, period, and it turns out no, it's all just coming everywhere. We just don't know the dates. But at least, like, as far as I know, the Persona 4 Golden port on PC is good, so I'm assuming that's the version of the games we are getting on PS5 and Xbox.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I just need to know, like, how much work is going to go into Persona 3. That is a PSP game.
This is a series and a game that I have so many people, like yourself included, that rave about this game, and I'm like, Like, let me look at a trailer again. And I watch a trailer for 30 seconds, and I'm like, I'm good. Like,
yeah, I think you would be into the gameplay, but like the relationship simulation aspect of it would. Though you're into that anime game, that dating sim game, so you might
because of the combat.
I know, but like that combat might get you into like the dating sim aspect of like, oh, if I romance this person in my party, we do better in the field, and then you'll be into that, you know, like, and then you'll be asking Bungie to be like, okay, what if we romance Zer, and he gives me better items because
that is
I romance
not the name I expected you to reference right away, but kudos to you.
That's the only name that I can think of, and I know he's a shopkeep, so
kudos to you. So
yeah, so this is coming. Persona 5 is coming this year to Xbox and theoretically PS5 and PC. No release dates on Persona 3 or Persona 4. Persona 4 is personally the one I'm most interested in, just because it is, in my opinion, the best Persona game, and it's golden.
Raved. People bought Vitas for Persona, like strictly.
I think I kind of bought my Vita because I can't remember why I bought my Vita, and I've actually charged my Vita recently, and I can't find my memory cards. And then I was like, well, I'll buy a new memory card.
Okay.
Fuck.
Just call Josh.
Oh my God. Vita memory cards. That's like another thing on my list of like things I need to collect. I need to buy a stupid memory card.
Michael's gonna start like walking home from work, like, oh, you have a yard sale? Let me flip through here real quick. Like,
dude, I've been looking at yard sales. I missed one this week because of like family plans, but I would have been out there just been like, what you got?
Yeah.
So,
because it's gonna happen, especially in a city like Chicago, man. You're gonna come up to somebody's house that their son like is like your age and moved out to California like 7 years ago, and they found this box under his bed. You're gonna be like, "Yep, the whole thing. Give me the whole thing."
Dude, that's the thing that sucks. Like, full disclosure, I former Best Buy employee, they used to recycle full game consoles, and I would just watch like full game consoles get recycled and thrown out, and I'm just like, oh my God, that is the worst thing. One of my coworkers showed me a picture of a Super Nintendo in box with all the accessories thrown into our recycling bin just like 2 weeks ago. Like, oh God. So yeah, I need to go garage sale hunting just to rebuild my collection. Because I lost some eBay auctions this week. I was going to reward myself with some eBay auctions on PS3 games for getting a new job, and I lost all 3 of the auctions I was in. So I've got to build that collection. All right. The last bit of news, just a quick one. Just let's go the opposite of what's delayed. A Plague Tale Requiem has a release date. So A Plague Tale Requiem is coming to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X on October 18th. Thank God. We're talking about like the holiday area is finally starting to fill out.
Great time.
Yes.
A week before Gotham Knights. Great time. Essentially a narrative-driven one and done story game. Like, I think you're hoping for what, like a 12 to 16 hour story at the most.
Yes, like just give me something I can play the week of Halloween.
How long is the first one?
I would say 8 to 12 hours, depending on like how.
They're raving about this game. Like it's on the list somewhere and like I need to start just knocking out games that I can knock out in like 5 or 6 sittings.
Yeah. So yeah, this is coming out. New trailer was out. Looks fantastic. I'm excited for it. Usually I have the same fear I have with any game that is like a surprise hit. They get the sequel. Is I just worry that they're going to overstuff this game. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping they don't. But I can totally understand why you would want to like overstuff a game like this. I knew when I saw the tech demo of this game like 6 years ago that it was going to be special, but like I'm assuming if you're on a developer side, this game becomes a hit. You're just like, I'm throwing fucking every idea I have.
They found the secret sauce, and now they're going to saturate the food with the secret sauce. That's the concern. So I have a question that I don't know if this is on topic enough, off topic enough, or whatever, but just because it's something that's been on my mind. So similar to what we were just talking about with Elden Ring and some of these other games for not necessarily maybe not officially winning game of the year, but being like a must play game. As I think that Plague Tale Innocence, is that what the first one was called?
Yes.
Okay. Is that you would consider this to be a must-play game from 2019?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes,
like on your list, it was a must-play 2019 game, correct?
It was my game of the year that year.
Yeah. And it won a small amount of game of the year awards officially. Somebody like tweeted at me when I tweeted this and corrected me about how many it did or didn't win, because I called it a game of the year contender. And I don't know if it was really considered a contender, but a must-play. So the narrative on the internet has been that Game Pass is bad for devs, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
It seems like it, even though developers say the opposite.
So why would a company that had a sleeper hit sign a deal with Game Pass for their game before their release date is set, before pre-orders are announced, or any of that stuff?
I would assume money, number one. There's a chance they looked at their player base, because they have the data from the first game of like 90% of our player base is on PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter if we're incentivized to put it on Game Pass on Xbox just to get Xbox players into our world and then get guaranteed money from there. So I would assume it's a combination of Xbox offered enough money and the Xbox player base for Innocence was just low enough that they were just like...
Because the previous one's on Game Pass.
Yeah, the previous one's on Game Pass, yeah. But
no, it's just something that I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around. Like, and again, I've talked about Game Pass at length. There are people that listen to this show on a regular basis that tell me that games as a service is subscription services for gaming is bad. Like, and they tell it to me regularly. And but then we see games like this before their dates are announced, because like if you think if they're a video game company and they're greedy, similar to like what Outriders did, where there was all this launch and all this hype leading up to Outriders, and we found out like 30 days before launch it's coming to Game Pass. At that point in time, people were like, well, I already pre-ordered, blah, 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 blah. And now this company is doing the reverse, where they announced the game, we knew it was coming. But they do another reveal of the game this summer on Xbox's stage and say, hey, day one on Game Pass. And then the next week, they come out and show you a little bit more and give the release date and then start talking about special editions and pre-orders and collector's editions. Like, it's just a super fascinating, interesting story dynamic to me of marketing. And, you know, like, and we'll never know, but did Xbox back the truck up again? And obviously they think that they have data that shows enough people played the first one to warrant this. And again, whatever is delayed or not delayed for this holiday, because this deal might have gotten boosted. This might have been one of the deals that we talked about that got boosted very fast when they realized Starfield's not coming.
So I want to say they announced this was coming to Game Pass like last year.
Okay.
Like, this was like a year in advance. Like, we knew this was coming to Game Pass.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Then that's great. Like, that's great for them. It just doesn't fit what the narrative of people are telling me. And I'm trying to listen to you. Like, people that tell me that the subscription services
but you're
are
listening
bad.
You're listening to like the same people that are just like hardcore fanboys that like you're never going to convince them that Game Pass is okay. Nothing will. God of War can be on Game Pass, and because it says Xbox on it, they're going to be like, fuck that service. This is ruining games. So, like...
I know.
That's part of the problem.
Those are the people that, for whatever reason, feel they need to interact with me.
Because they have to. Like, because they need something, and they know they can poke a hornet's nest. But, like, I would imagine it's a combination of Xbox looked at the data, and they were like, oh, shit, and a large amount of our player base, our subscribers, played this game. Okay, how do we keep those people? Let's back up the money truck to Focus Home Interactive and get the sequel on there. So people like in my situation where my thing's going to expire, I would probably resubscribe. My subscription expires like a month or two after this comes out. But like if I was close to that, then I would probably hang on to my subscription because of that. And then you have to look at it, like I said, from the developer side. They probably saw the player base just wasn't high enough on Xbox. So they're just like, let's just get whatever money Xbox willing to back up to us, because the people on PlayStation aren't going to be swayed one way or the other. Like, because people are just so entrenched in their like brand war.
So like Josh Kreese in chat, a friend of mine, says most people have never heard of Plague Tale. It sold 1 million copies in a year.
Yeah, it sold pretty well. It was in Game of the Year conversations.
Yeah, it sold 1 million copies before the Game Pass deal, and and that was like the last update that when I Google it really quick or whatever, the last update about how 1 million copies was July 1st, 2020. So yeah, like I haven't
probably
heard
1.5, 2 million.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything else since then, but I'm it did well enough. Like,
and it's been on Game Pass for a while, so I'm sure it's been played by a lot of people by now.
So
I mean, I also would imagine, because it's on Game Pass and Xbox does not fucking have anything first party coming out, it will be featured in Game Pass ads during the holidays. So like, if you're Focus Home Interactive, if you're Plague Tale, if Xbox is offering you free marketing money, and
which also helps PlayStation sales, whether you believe it or not.
Yes, because then you're going to see like
PC
that
sales.
game look cool.
Let me just look it up. It is on PlayStation. Okay, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, so like there's reasons why developers would be like, oh shit, they're going to market my game for free.
What do you think the first game that we're going to see in the next year that's on both services day and date simultaneously?
MLB The Show? On PlayStation Plus and Game Pass?
Yeah.
Ooh. MLB The Show. No, it's not for MLB The Show.
Like, because there's got to be one, right? There's going to be somebody that signs
I think they're in too much of a battle right now that they're always going to just counter offer each other to avoid that for at least right now. It might be a couple years before we're at that point, but it'll probably be like a Devolver game or something.
Okay.
Though Devolver has like no problems. Like, I don't know if you noticed, like they did that last year. They had like an Xbox console exclusive with a game, and then they also had a Nintendo exclusive with a game, and then they have PlayStation exclusive. Well, like Devolver doesn't seem to like have any problems making like individual exclusivity deals.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Devolver treats every single one of their intellectual properties, rightfully so, as their own independent bubbles. Like, they don't use one to pull against the other. It's like, okay, this is over here. Oh, you got to talk to that team. Well, I want to talk to you. Like, I don't deal with that game. I deal with this game. We're talking about this game.
And then also, they're really good at knowing, like, the Nintendo crowd is going to eat this shit up. The Xbox crowd is going to eat this up. To where I imagine it's Devolver going to the individual console makers and being like, we have something perfect for you. How much? As opposed to them just taking one game from console manufacturer to console manufacturer to be like, can you please put our, like, they have a very strategic thing. And also I think they're a ballsy enough company to be like, we'll put it on both of your, you will pay Microsoft and PlayStation, you will both pay us money to have one of our games on day one. I can't wait to hear
about the studio that has like the Xbox PR team and the PlayStation PR team, and they don't talk to each other, and then they both like announce like on the same day that said game is coming to services, and Xbox is like, what? And PlayStation's like, what's going on? And they're just like,
yeah, I think we're at least a couple years away from that though, because right now you can probably go to, you get the lowball offer from PlayStation, and then you probably get the like, oh my god, I was joking, you don't need to give me that much money from Xbox, just because Xbox is desperate and PlayStation has no reason to be desperate.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, so, I know. Yep. I agree with you. It probably will be MLB. It's what it should be.
At a certain point, like I have a feeling we're not far away from there being like a free-to-play MLB game.
Right.
To where they just release
like online only mode with microtransactions or whatever, or they're Diamond Dynasty only. Like, you can't play Road to the Show, but you can play Diamond Dynasty only with card packs and everything like that. Yeah, I agree.
Yes, and then that is the thing that's on Plus and Xbox. And then if you want Road to the Show, it's only on PlayStation or something. I don't know. So that will probably be the actual thing that happens.
All right, so that is our news. As of now, we don't hear anything that has been delayed. However, we do have a Nintendo Direct tomorrow. That's maybe something could get delayed that we don't know about.
Third-party mini Direct. Yeah. So expectations.
Yeah. Well, by the time they hear this, it'll already be over. So, unless they're watching right now. Hi. All right. So what we're playing and watching, as we kind of mentioned at the beginning, we recorded a little later, like an entire almost 2 days later last week than we are recording this week, which also plays a factor into this, as well as just I am a 39-year-old man with a full-time retail job and a wife and kids. So I did not really play very much of anything game-wise this week. Right before we recorded, I did watch the unrivaled E30 ESPN special on the Red Wings Colorado Avalanche rivalry of the late 90s. If you are a hockey fan at all, I highly recommend checking that out. It's re-airing on ESPN. You can watch them with commercials. If you have ESPN Plus, you can watch it whenever you want on demand. But I mean, most people know that I'm a very big sports fan. But hockey is very hard for me to watch right now because the Red Wings are not very good. But this was, when I was 14, 15, 16 years old. 13, 14, 15 in the late 90s, and this was kind of when hockey was in its heyday. So it was very interesting. Michael probably maybe paid a little bit more attention to hockey in the mid 2000s when the Blackhawks were really, really, really good. So
you mean the 2010s then? At that point,
I mean they were building.
They still weren't
they were building from like the 05, 06, 07 time to like, and then they had a 2009 to like 2014 run or something like that. Yeah. So, so if you like hockey, I would definitely check it out. If you're interested in learning about or looking into hockey, that's a very interesting time. If you like to watch a lot of footage of grown men punching each other and not playing hockey, I recommend watching this. So, and then Owen, Michael's gonna roll his eyes at this one. Owen has been on a kick with his Transformer toys lately, so we've been watching all of the Transformer movies. The Michael Bay ones, yes. So we did the first 3, the Shia LaBeouf ones, and then we did the first Wahlberg one. And then on Sunday, Angela wasn't home, and Owen wanted to watch another Transformers movie, and we watched the 1986 animated movie, which is not on any. Did he cry? Huh?
Is that the one where Optimus dies?
Isn't that like almost every Transformers movie right now?
No, but he like dies in that one.
So,
okay.
I did not enjoy that movie. It had some weird pacing to it. It definitely didn't have as much nostalgia to it as I thought it would. It's just very, very interesting music. I know it was the mid 80s.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Owen kind of like halfway through was like, can we stop? And I'm like, well, I actually had to rent this for like $3, so no. So because it wasn't on any streaming service.
Yeah, that's the crazy that's the one where like Orson fucking Welles is Unicron, which is just fucking wild.
The thing that I was actually the most impressed about it was just recently watching like a lot of the Michael Bay Transformers, Galvatron and stuff like that. Like that was referencing to that movie or referencing to the name of the newly created human Megatron that they called Galvatron was referred to in the 80s as well. I didn't put that all together. Because like they would call him that, and Owen would be like, "Hey," Owen's catching it, and I'm kind of like half paying attention, half on my phone, while we were doing this. But so lots and lots of Transformers, and with Owen's schedule, it's been a lot of like, okay, we're gonna watch the first hour, and then we're gonna watch the next hour and a half tomorrow. So, good, bad, or indifferent, we've got The Last Night left and Bumblebee to watch. Out of all of them, I think The Last Night is the one that I enjoy the most. So just kind of like some of the history of like more history of the Transformers and just the actor dynamic between like Wahlberg and the other female character that I can't think of her name right now, and like that one seemed to be the best. And I don't have a lot of memories either way of Bumblebee. I think I maybe watched it once or twice. So there's another one coming next year, I guess, and I don't really know what the gist of that one is. So.
Robots in disguise.
I meant like who's in it or what timeline it's part of. And then
Optimus Prime.
I think that we're going to start. I want to go see the new Jurassic Park. I want to see it in theaters. So if Angela and I have the time, we might start kind of watching some of the other Jurassic Parks again, just to get ready to watch the new one again, or we'll just watch the new one and then watch the old ones later. So But that is pretty much where I'm at with playing and watching. So
Yeah, for me, it's literally nothing. But like, didn't get a chance to play anything. So I started a new job last week, so I was doing all the onboarding stuff. So I've been having to go downtown, which is something I haven't been doing in like several years. So that's been kind of tiresome. Sarah had some family over, so we had to play tour guide. So like my Saturday, instead of like rehabbing from being at work at a new job, we had to travel all over Chicago to be like, here's the Bean and here's wherever else we went downtown. Like I don't even remember. It's kind of a daze of like all the places we ended up visiting on Saturday. And then Sunday, I did get to do something interesting. So Sarah and two of our friends, we went to AEW's Forbidden Door, which is the big AEW pay-per-view that was in partnership with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So it was AEW wrestlers and a bunch of Japanese wrestlers brought over, or not a bunch of Japanese wrestlers, a bunch of New Japan Pro Wrestling wrestlers brought over. So got to see that. Everyone had a good time. It was a super fun show. Orange Cassidy versus Will Ospreay was the best match of the show. The only complaint I had is the show was from 6 o'clock to 11. So it was a really long show. So even I ran out of energy by the time we got to like the second to last match. But everyone seemed to have like a really good time with the wrestling. It was our friend's like first show, and it was, I think he had a good time. Like he ended up just like following a bunch of wrestlers on social media after, and has just been like sent me a couple things about like different wrestlers that he saw. So it was cool introducing people to wrestling, especially AEW, because AEW descent tends to be a little bit more fun than WWE currently. But it was an interesting show. It was the first time I was at the United Center in like a decade. United Center, Dave, is where the Bulls play.
I know what the United Center is.
I'm just making sure. So it had been like a really long time since I'd like been to the United Center, because I usually, sports wise, it's I'll go to a Sox game, go to a Cubs game. So first time being in the United Center in a while. And one thing I love about the United Center, it seems really hard to get a bad seat in that stadium. It's like perfect in terms of like we were in like technically the nosebleeds, but we had a perfect view of the wrestlers, and it wasn't like crazy like far away.
I almost feel like almost any stadium arena you go into that was built after the mid 90s has they really figured out like sightlines. Like they really figured it out.
Yes.
So.
Especially if you look at like old stadiums or old arenas, like it could be pretty brutal. But I was a little worried because it'd been so long since I was at the United Center, and I've never been to a wrestling show at the United Center. I was just like, I hope we're not too far back. But
yeah,
it was perfect,
like I could see that
angle.
being a concern. You're like, hey, I've seen a hockey game or I've seen a basketball game there where like a basketball court's huge compared to a wrestling ring.
Yeah, basically what I ended up doing is I ended up pulling up pictures of the hockey games, and the view my seat stuff online. I pulled up hockey games and I was just like, okay, the Hawks logo is about the size of a wrestling ring. What does it look like from our angle? Because they haven't really done wrestling shows in United Center until a couple years ago. So
they
there's
usually
not a
go
lot
for
of data.
smaller venues.
Yeah, well, they usually go outside of Chicago for tax purposes and union purposes. So they usually go to Rosemont, which is like a 15,000 seat arena. United Center is about like 20 to 26.
Yeah.
So it's very rare that United Center is being used for it, just because it's very expensive. And also it's in a really shitty part of town. So I felt bad for all the Japanese wrestlers who are like, we're going to Chicago. And then they get driven to the United Center. And it's like,
the crazy part is the United Center is getting near 30 years old. Like it's getting near vintage stadium. So,
it is, which is just wild.
Yeah.
Got to see that. Forbidden Door was fantastic. Some questionable decisions, and thought it was a little weird. You bring a lot of these wrestlers over from across the world, and most of them lose. I feel like was just kind of like, you could have had a couple of like Japanese wrestlers or New Japan wrestlers win some matches.
Yeah.
Because there was like 14 matches and only like 2 New Japan wrestlers won their respective matches. And it was just like, okay, that's kind of a bummer. But overall, really fun, just really exhausted. And I worked today and I worked the rest of the week. So it's like, oh God.
Yeah, getting on that 5-day straight schedule is not all it's cracked up to be from what I hear.
Yeah, luckily I have a hybrid setup. So, but still,
yeah,
I'm tired, especially when you're starting a new job. It's just a bunch of
brain overload.
Yeah, people teaching you stuff and then throwing like shorthand at you, and they're just like, I don't know what. Stop talking in letters. Just tell me the full words.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't. But yeah, just doing all that stuff.
All right, so we're going to jump to our questions and comments using hashtag AskDigitalDays. You can send us those, as Stefan seems to do at least every other week, as he did again. Is DayZ worth buying? I have seen mixed reviews, but watching gameplay on YouTube, it looks really interesting. I have never played it, and I don't want to play it. Battle Royales don't really do that for me, and
there's other aspects to DayZ with the Battle Royale, but honestly, I would say you're kind of too late on DayZ. Like a couple years ago was probably the time to jump in, and we're talking about DayZ on PC. I believe it's on PS4 as well, but don't do that.
I heard it runs like trash on consoles.
Yeah. I would say there was a time and a place where you could hop into DayZ. Now I feel like if you're not going in with like a group of friends that either are
you're gonna get.
I think people are still doing.
You're gonna get pub stomped.
Yeah, and like the fun aspects of some of like the RP servers and stuff, like the roleplay servers, you kind of need to already have an in to really enjoy that. Mm-hmm. So I would probably say not worth it. I mean, if you're gonna jump in on PC, but you're gonna need to bring your group with you if you're gonna do like survival stuff or if you're gonna do like competitive stuff.
All right. Ollie writes a comment and a question. So as someone who has had their own lengthy gaming funks, it warmed my heart to hear Dave talk about Shredder's Revenge like a kid at Christmas. It made me feel nostalgic, and I have never even played the original. Thank you for that, by the way. So this got me thinking, for anyone else who's had a gaming funk, what is the last game that broke it? For him, it was Control. He felt burnt out on the 100-hour climb. The tower revealed the map-style games. Control felt so different. I was hooked on the atmosphere. It felt so immersive. I spent hours reading files dotted around the place. The writing made me want to investigate more and more. So I don't really think that you get into very many gaming funks, do you?
No, they usually only last like maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Like right now, technically I'm in a gaming funk, but it's just like exhaustion from work, not like nothing's holding my attention. But I would probably say like at the beginning of the year, because there wasn't a lot of stuff coming out, like Sifu kind of got me out of a little bit of a gaming funk, because before that came out, there wasn't really anything. And then Sifu gave me the confidence to pick up Elden Ring, because Sifu was challenging. So I'm like, if I can handle Sifu's combat, I could probably handle Elden Ring's combat. And if Sifu wasn't out, I probably wouldn't have picked up Elden Ring, because I wouldn't have gotten that confidence. So I probably would have been in a gaming funk if it wasn't for Sifu.
Yeah, for me, what it's been lately is I almost wouldn't even really call it a funk anymore. I would call it like a fear of starting, because like I want, like I mentioned, I want to play Metroid Dread. I want to play Death's Door. I want to play Horizon 2. I want to play numerous things. But I worry about like being able to give it the attention that I want to give it. And I don't know if that's like I need to, play in a long stretch to get to it. Like when I originally had first, years ago stopped playing Horizon, I was an hour, 2 hours away from the thing that I was like, hey, I'm invested now, and I hadn't pushed to it yet. And I almost feel like, and I'm having the same problem with like certain television shows that I'm trying to watch by myself. If they don't do something within, for whatever reason, if it's, I've got some ADD, I don't know, but if something doesn't happen within a certain amount of time in a video game, in a television show, like I'm like, okay, I'm bored. Like I need something different. Like, and I don't like that's a me thing right now, and I don't know if that's just a, so much stuff going on at work, so much stuff going on with all the changes that are happening in my life with like my older kids and, everything that's going on in the world, like, just in general. Like, it's just, it almost feels like certain things are starting to feel chore-like. And I think that's, part of the reason that I just easily like pick up Destiny. My friends are playing it or they're working on something, or I can just go, hey, like I can tangibly do something without really thinking about it, And it's just like I can just pick up a gun and shoot a couple things in the head and I get to watch a meter go up. And I know what it is and I know what it's going to be and I know it's always there. And it stops me from starting, because I've started Guardians of the Galaxy and moved away from it. I've started all these like I started Hollow Knight and moved away from it. And it has like the games aren't bad, but it's not enough to grab me. And like I think Shredder's Revenge fit that thing where I was like, okay, I can play like 2 levels for like 15 minutes. Like I'm saying, like it's a 5-minute thing. Like, okay, I'm playing through, I got a boss fight. Oh, I'm playing through, I got a boss fight, versus I'm waiting for some narrative thing and some foreshadowing. Like it's like it feels like it's just taking too long.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. So that's definitely like self-reflection. That's definitely like a me thing. It's like a mental thing. Like I don't know if I got to go like talk to a doctor and take some medication or something like that to like stop my mind from running 100 bazillion miles an hour. So
you just described Ritalin, but
yeah, I know. So don't remind me. So. All right. For the most part, that is it. Shorter show today, like we talked about. We're kind of in that late June, early July stuff where there's, maybe we'll have a whole Ubisoft show next week or something if they do something crazy for July. But you can definitely follow us. The main account is at Digital Days Pod. Michael's account is at the first MJC. You just had to talk. I had it under control.
No. Yeah.
My Twitter account is at Good Dave Hunt. If my editor does a good enough job, which she normally does, you'll hear Michael say pause for effect, and there's no pause because I had to sneeze, and he's a jerk.
Hopefully. Making her life easier because then she doesn't have to worry about it. Because now we're talking about it, so people need to know. No, you just ignore it because I talked during it, so it's going to have that pause now. So I helped you, made your life easier. There we go.
You can join our Facebook group or our Discord server. The links are in the show notes. Patreon is down there as well. Teespring's account is there if you want some shirts for the summer. Buy a hoodie now in June for October. I don't know. There's some other stuff in there. And PayPal is there. But again, please remember to share the show. Please consider reviewing the show. If you haven't subscribed with Twitch, consider doing that as well. Just things to kind of to help. Eventually, hopefully, Michael and I get to go somewhere and do something cool, and we'll get to use a lot of your funding for that. But I don't. It's not in 2022. So
nope.
But yep. As always, we appreciate everyone's support. Thank you for listening, sharing, conversating, helping grow the community. We always appreciate it. And you are valued, and we thank you for taking the time to listen to us for an hour and 10 minutes or however long this is going to be. So I hope everyone has a great week. Keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya.